If we can come to
Fiona.
Fee, thank you.
And then Eagle.
Yep.
I've been really scared to ask this question, and every time I try to, Luca comes back in.
Yeah.
And I feel really awkward talking about this with him here.
Yeah.
Hey.
Luca just walked back in the room.
Yeah. I have my own history.
Yep.
And I wanted to ask a question around spirits and how they affect you. Because it's something that I noticed recently. I read a book called Tiger, which is a memoir about a lady who's been abused. And I read the book in a day, and it's over 300 pages, and I couldn't put it down. But I didn't cry, and I didn't really connect to much, apart from sexual feelings. And I was kind of disgusted with myself.
So feelings of sexual desire rather than...
Yeah, arousal.
Rather than any sadness or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I felt really disgusting with
Right.
myself.
There's the starting point.
Yeah.
You know, the sexual disgust of yourself for feeling like aroused when you're reading about somebody's abuse is actually condemning the emotion within yourself before you even begin to investigate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So rather than condemning the emotion, let's investigate it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So in the book, she talks about, it's from the age of 7 to 22.
Mm-hmm.
And she, at age 13, when the actual sex starts, like intercourse,
Yeah.
she creates a lady called Nina, who she becomes.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful how she's written it. It's like she can make something nothing. And, you know, she just basically totally detached.
Yep.
Nothing something.
Yep.
And she, it's total detachment. And so she's got an alter ego. And so when I was reading that bit, I suddenly realized that that's what I've had all my life. I've had Anna.
Yep.
And who was actually a spirit as well.
Yep.
And
I suggest this Nina was a spirit as well.
Okay,
Yep.
right.
Yep.
So I read the book and I thought, okay, so her Nina is my Anna. I get that, but still no emotion. And then I spoke to my counsellor, and as soon as I walked through the door, I was like, all cocky and detached. I was like, read this awesome book, slapped it down, and just burst out crying. And
Good.
cried for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Sobbing.
So didn't get to talk about it at all. Yeah.
Sobbing about, I can't believe it. And because I realized that reading the book, Anna had got really, it's like my detached self had got really excited reading the book.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then when I actually connected emotionally with someone who I felt no judgment from, and I didn't even talk about it with Mike. I was so scared of what had happened reading the book.
Yeah.
I read it, I just first spoke to her, which of course affects our relationship.
Yeah.
And and it just seemed really amazing, the spirit influence, and how a lot of my life, even before I was sexually active, I would get turned on thinking about kind of incest situations.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand it and just thought that I was dreadful and all these things.
Yeah. Can you see now that that was Anna's unhealed emotion that she projected at you? The spirit is projecting this emotion at you. Why would a spirit get turned on about incest?
Well, what I came to was that it's actually the complete 180. So when I connected emotionally, I felt terrified.
Yes, I
But
agree.
when I'm detached, I feel turned on.
When you're detached, what's happening though?
The spirit is...
The spirit is feeling through you.
Yeah.
Right. What is she feeling? What's her feelings?
Excited.
She's excited. Why would a woman's spirit, be excited by the act of incest?
I don't know.
Have a feel about it, because it's quite obvious.
Because she's...
There's only two possible reasons why she would be excited, really.
Because she's an abuser?
Because she's an abuser is one of those reasons. In other words, that she abused children while she was on earth, that's one reason, potential reason. And she then steps in when you're getting abused. When you go out of your body, she then steps in and looks after that thing because she actually likes it then. Does that make sense? Does that feel truthful to you?
I feel that she's my friend.
I know you feel she's your friend. You feel that she was your friend, and you feel she was your friend because she saved you from feeling the feelings. But the reality is she likes the feelings. That's why she steps in at that point. There's only one other reason why she would do it. Remember I said there were two reasons for you.
What's the other reason?
But you're going to very much want the reason to be the second reason. Right? And you're not going to want the reason to be the first reason, but the first reason is the most dominant reason. You understand? That's why I said it first. The second reason is that she herself has had some sexual abuse and she has yet to grieve it, and she actually felt the enjoyment of it as a child, and therefore she wants to still continue to feel that same enjoyment. And that's the only thing that turns her on. So that's the second possible reason. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I want that one.
You want that one? Yes, I know you want that
do.
one.
Yeah.
I know you want that one. But
Yeah.
this is the problem, you see. It's the fear. The problem with spirits is often they connect to us to the feelings we don't want. We don't want to come to acknowledgement of the truth. To be frank with you, almost all sexual abuse of children, all paedophilia and incest related issues, almost them all involve a number of spirits. Almost them all. Both on the receiving end and on the giving end of the abuse. On the receiving end, many of the children go out of body because of the terror that they feel. They step away from their body, and other spirits come in and actually act out the opposite emotion than what the person actually feels who is in the body at the time, who owns the body, if you like. The owner of the body often feels terrified and terrible, but the person stepping in feels under control, powerful, and often enjoys the interaction, right? And so then that creates even more confusion for the pedophile himself, because he's going, but you liked it. You see, many pedophiles explained this, that they feel the child liked it, and unfortunately, the child wasn't the child experiencing it, it was the child had stepped out of body, and unfortunately, a spirit had stepped in its place who did enjoy the process. Right? And this is where understanding the truth of all of these interactions is very, very important to healing the emotion. So, does that make sense to you? Yeah. The first one feels truthful, even though you don't want it to be, doesn't it? And this is the problem, is that much of the time, these people who come to save us from a terrifying situation are not the good people we believe them to be, but rather a person who is a predator in their own right. And that's why they come in on those situations. Yeah. And that's why she tries to encourage those situations. Does that make sense? So, it's very damaging to the person who's been abused. Very confusing emotions. And this is why much of child abuse is not actually ever healed, because the full dynamic of what's happening does not include understanding the spirit dynamic.
You'll find the truth about it for you.
Yeah, I think you already know the truth about it. Does that make sense, Vee? Do you got any more questions about it? Makes sense though, doesn't it?
I've had conversations with Anna, and she's shown me, I felt like I've remembered huge parts of my spirit life with her as best friends. And that it's like this friendship that I've never had on earth, which is why I'm so needy with women, and we're like this, we're like tied together. And then I felt like we moved her on, Mike and I, one night, and all this stuff. And like, then
Well, you think of all the women who you have these kind of relationships with on earth. Have any of them proven to be your friend?
No.
Haven't most of them proven to be more domineering than you, over you? Haven't most of them been controlling of you? Why would that be any different to this attraction?
Yeah. A lot of lies.
Yeah, and this is the problem, is that there are a lot of lies involved in sexual abuse of children, both on the part of spirits and on the part of people on earth. You think of how many lies have been a part of your family, where mum and dad, you have memories of these things now. both in denial. In other words, both wish to lie about these issues. And then on top of that, you've got spirits lying to you at the same time. How confusing is this for a child? Very difficult. It's very difficult emotional things to deal with. Yeah. Okay, can we...
At the back.
Who are you going?
Hannah at the
Hannah?
back had her hand up for.
We still need to get back to the normal stuff.
Yeah, and I'm thinking of the time.
Yeah.
What time is it?
All right, so we've got 20 more minutes or so.
All right.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank Fee for sharing that anyway, because that's helped me.